All right, here's one last thing I want to say. So we talked about those three rules where you're looking at the structure of the price, the channels, where they are on the multiple time frames. You're looking at the levels of liquidity. So where are all the shares owned on this stock by various institutions and people and shareholders? And then also what's the balance between the average person who's long versus the average person in short? Those are important. But there's also one last thing. What's the story on the stock? Is the outlook the same of the stock? So is there any more material news or not? If the material news of the stock is different, for example, earnings reactions, lawsuits, just things we didn't know before about the company, that means that the algorithms, like their long-term outlooks on the stock and their buying programs and stuff, are going to change, which means the rules of technical analysis will change. If there are different economic reports, so for example, if there's an exceptionally different inflation report or wage report or something that would affect the stock as well, that will also change as well. We call that like a newsy environment. So if there's a lot of economic releases, a lot of earnings reactions and sympathy, etc., those will change the predicted technical analysis of the direction of the stock, which means that you can't predict it. It's like throwing dice rolls into the mix. For example, Meta. Traditional rules would say, okay, well, we broke down, but we have to retest that 50 SMA because we just went straight through it. We're going to have to come up and retest it before we continue down. That's not the case, though, because between here and here, the outlook on the company changed via earnings. Okay, so when the story on the stock changes, anything that they didn't know before, that the algorithms didn't know before, when the story changes, the technical analysis changes, which is why initially when it changes, you have to wait and see what happens. So maybe Meta totally bounces. Maybe it flounders around here and drops. We don't know. We got to wait a couple days for it to kind of consolidate a little bit and then go from there. That's also why earnings reactions are really good, maybe like a day or two in, but they're not really good for you to like swing right into it long term. You might need to wait a couple days or like a week to see what direction this stock is going to go in. That's my last point. News, economic story changes on stocks will change the technical analysis, which means you can't expect it to follow the same rules that it was following before.